If you trust me to speak to the customers every single day, I'm only doing it at scale on social media. That's the only difference. I'm doing it at scale. So trust me as an adult, trust me as an employee, and give me the freedom to use my creativity to our advantage, right? Because right now, outbound sales, any AEs, without a social media presence, it's incredibly difficult. I don't care how good you write your emails. I don't care how good you do your prospecting. We know it. Like, trust me, it's not as effective as it was back in the day. You cannot hang your pipeline simply on that. You have to be where your customers are. You need to be on LinkedIn. You need to be on TikTok. You need to be on Discord. You need to be in Slack channels. You need to be on Clubhouse. Anywhere where your customers potentially are to build those relationships, that's what you need. Because when quota comes up and you're $50,000 short, and you don't have anybody in your book of business, so you could be like, hey, Kerry, I hate to even ask this, but I'm kind of messed up right now. Now, without that relationship, Kerry would never open your email. She's going to look at it, be unbothered. So build the trust today, guys. You have to.
Hello, hello! Welcome to another episode of the Internal Marketing Podcast, the unique podcast series where we talk about marketing from the inside out, exploring all the ways you can build the brand and drive growth by engaging and empowering company employees to become advocates of the brand. I'm your host, Kerry-Ann Stimson, and I'm very happy to be bringing you this episode where we'll be discussing how you can help employees to build their own personal brands online. But before we get started, it's unnecessarily difficult to make an external marketing tool work for internal communications. The email templates, distribution lists, analytics, tools, and integrations just don't make any sense. Workshop is an internal email platform built exclusively for employee communications and gives you a one-stop shop where you can quickly create, send, and measure beautifully branded internal emails and messages. It even automatically syncs with your company's HR data, so you know your lists will always automatically be up to date. Check out useworkshop.com/marketing to learn more and to see a short demo. And of course, Workshop is the global sponsor of Season 3 of the Internal Marketing Podcast. Thank you, Workshop. As always, I'm happy to have you on board. So let's jump into this conversation with my awesome guest for this episode, Jarrett Thomas. Jarrett is a senior account manager at HootSuite, a host of his very own podcast, and has done a great job of building his own personal brand on LinkedIn. In this conversation, he'll be sharing why and how you can empower your employees to start and/or build their own personal brands online. I am very happy to be having another great conversation here today with a connection that I made on LinkedIn. I tell you, LinkedIn is the place to make valuable connections. As a matter of fact, it's not the first time that he and I are having a conversation similar to the one we're about to have, except the last time he was in the host seat and I was the guest at the time. But if you know him, you probably follow him already. He's Jarrett Thomas. He's a senior account manager at HootSuite. Jarrett is on LinkedIn. You got over 10,000 followers a long time ago, right, Jarrett?
We getting up there, hopefully.
Yeah, man, I'm sure. So yes, Jarrett puts out great stuff and just really a very authentic person who just shares about his experiences, career, even a little bit of family too on LinkedIn. And it's just been a pleasure following you and learning from you. And I'm so glad that you're here because I think this conversation is going to be a bit of a unique one because normally on this podcast, when I have conversations like this, when we're talking about employee advocacy or how companies can empower or support their employees in building their personal brands, I usually speak to the company leadership from the perspective of how the company can enable it. But I love the perspective that you're going to bring to this discussion, Jarrett. And I was deliberate when I reached out to you about it, which was the fact that you're coming to us from the angle of the employee, more or less. And I think that's great because it gives us the opportunity to see through the eyes of an employee employee who is passionate about building their
Absolutely.
personal brand. And from your perspective, giving the vantage point of information that says to a company, look, how can companies empower me as an employee based on my own journey, my own experience? What do you think companies can do or do more of to better support and empower and enable employees to build their personal brand? So I think it's really going to be a great
Absolutely.
conversation. Thank you so much
No,
for joining me
thank you,
here
Kerry.
today.
It's a pleasure, Queen. It's an honor to be on your show. We had a great time. So anybody listening, the show was rankable. You guys could go on YouTube, check it out. We had a great conversation, all things marketing. Got to know Kerry-Ann, and we've just been friends since. And it's just a pleasure to help you any way I can, sis. So much love as always, and we'll have a good time.
And Jarrett knows that I'm
Yeah.
Jamaican, and Jarrett is no stranger to
Likewise.
Jamaica. I tell him that he's probably quarter Jamaican.
Yeah. You know it.
Yeah, man. So he knows when next he visits Jamaica, the jerk chicken is on me. We have
You
to
know
catch
that.
up and link up right here on the rock. So thank you so much, Jarrett. Much
Of course.
appreciated. So let's jump right
Mhm.
in, Jarrett. So I like to start out my conversations with level setting questions, right? And why I do it is that I don't like to assume that we are all on the same page. And in this case, we're going to be talking about how employees can build their personal brands. And we're speaking from, as I said earlier, an employee's perspective, which is you. And so when we talk about employees building personal brands, I know that's a sticky topic these days. You know, if you're on LinkedIn, a lot of people have heard the conversations, made content around it. And I think some people have pretty much embraced the fact that that's the reality of doing business in 2022 and beyond. But some people still just don't get why. And so my level set question to you, Jarrett, is why, in your view, is it important for companies to embrace the fact that it is a great thing for employees to have strong personal brands? I mean, why does it benefit companies? Why should
I
they
think
even care?
the main answer is because people buy from people. It's no longer the days in 2022 where well-known brands can just print dollar bills, right? It's all about the customer experience, right? And who's in touch with the customer every single day? It's us. It's the employees, right? It's the sales folks. It's the people that are on the phones every day, getting to understand what value they can provide to the customer. So if you can be online and actively or proactively help them accomplish what they need to before they get on the phone with you, that's how you separate yourself, right? So like I think there's nothing but good things that could come from your employees being thought leaders in a space, all the way from executive leadership all the way to SDRs, right? A good company that does really well is Gong. They executed really well, where they have like a plan and a guide where if you want to set your personal brand, you have an opportunity to do so, and you will have the support and resources to do it. So shout out to the entire Gong team. And there is no bad side. And then additionally, on the marketing side, you amplify your message, right? So if we have blog content, if we have webinars, we're doing this podcast, Kerry, right? If I have 20 different employees who have 5,000 viewers or 5,000 followers apiece, now I have potential to have 15,000 impressions more on my piece of content that are absolutely free, right? What you would have paid for that on Google, what would you have paid for that on Facebook ads, on LinkedIn ads, so on and so on, right? So it's free promotion, free advertising, and it gets to see people who work for your brand in a different light, right? Let them be authentic. Let them say what a day-to-day is like, right? It'll help with recruiting. It'll help with marketing. It'll help with sales, right? It'll streamline the sales process. Like if you have a good, strong brand, Kerry, you've been connected for 2 years. If I call you and be like, hey, Kerry, it's Jarrett from HootSuite, and I got this plan that really makes sense. Like, you got 2 minutes? Of course, because we're here now. I mean, you've seen me. I've built that trust with you. It makes sales easier. So, just give yourself an opportunity to win in the space, and creating that brand really kind of bridges the gap. Content is the bridge between the customer and the brand.
So what I'm picking up then is that companies need to recognize how important it is from two vantage points. As you said, people do business with people. I think especially in the B2B space, but I still think depending on the product or service, there is room to do it in the B2C as well. But people prefer to do business with people, and putting your people out there or having team members, employees with strong personal brands helps the company brand, certainly by giving it a human and authentic face. And then to your second main point, organic reach for brands through the official company accounts is
Yeah.
abysmal. And so what we recognize is that getting messages, brand marketing messages through your people, through their personal social media accounts to their networks of people who trust them already, but certainly are more willing to engage with them, gives your brand a reach that,
Yeah.
as you say, we just couldn't even pay for.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, then, Jarrett, because obviously, as I said at the top of the show, I have been observing your journey over time. I discovered you on LinkedIn. We connected and we've been engaging with each other's content for quite some time. And I've been really enjoying your journey. I've seen your growth from the earlier days of your start on LinkedIn and how you've been generating content, and your follower base has grown significantly over that period of time. Could you share with us, how has building your own personal brand in that space on social, how has it benefited you personally and professionally? I mean, what have you received from that? It's just really awesome to share. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of have a hint as to what that is, but share with our listeners what
So
that
for
has
sure.
been
So
like for you,
to
that
start off
journey.
from the top, to like give the viewers and the listeners just why I started, right? So I was in the industry for 10 years, everybody. And then I was in a weird space. I had just gotten fired from a top social listening company. I've been bouncing around. It was just really in a weird space, and I was just tired of playing the game. I went up going to an agency, and we had a conversation. I was tasked with doing enterprise sales. I spoke with the founder, and I'm like, where are our sales coming from? It was mostly through referrals and social media. So I'm like, bing, there it goes, light bulb goes off, right? So if we're getting our sales from referrals, that means content on social media is really driving and fueling the business. So me creating 1,000 emails to a bunch of contacts at Nike, Uber, and all these other companies may not be the best route for me to go. So I said, okay, if you're on Twitter, I'm just going to go on LinkedIn. I just took a shot in the dark. I'm like, business, LinkedIn, it makes sense. Let's go for it, right? Didn't know nothing about nothing. So me and my partner, Lee Gall, every day he's the only person that was like, man, I'm doing it with you, man. I don't care. I'm not doing these emails. Every single day we meet for coffee downstairs in front of the office, and we just put our camera on and we just say a topic. It could be family, it could be wellness, it could be SEO, content, whatever. It was no rhyme, no reason, no editing, no anything. We just press send and let it go. Before you know it, like 2.5 months later, like we're going to get chicken parms in Manhattan for lunch. And then people are like, holy crap, that's Jarrett and Lee. And I'm like, whoa, like, dude, we're on to something. Like, this might be something. Like, I don't know what we're on to, but let's figure it out. And then, shortly after, I ended up closing one of my biggest deals from LinkedIn specifically. And then from there, the pandemic happened, and then everything shut down. So it's like, okay, cool. My pipeline drops, everything drops. If I wouldn't have had that built-in reputation with LinkedIn, it would have been super hard for me to generate any pipeline. So what we did was we started creating a podcast, and that's how you and I met. And then we've had some great guests. And so how it's impacted me personally, it's helped my confidence. It's helped with my, my relationships are much better. I've gotten to meet people like yourself, and I've been having conversations that I wouldn't have been privy to otherwise. I'm learning so much. I've got mentors, and, people that are doing amazing things, that are taking time out their day to mentor me and up level me just because I'm creating content and being myself. So I think that's really, really cool. And then personally, I made a lot of money. Just being honest with you, I made a lot of commissions not sending no damn emails or cold calls. Like, that's just honest with it. I closed $2 million in revenue without one cold call or email, no cold emails. So it was all people who came in from me from seeing content. Maybe a VP hit me up on a DM like, hey, Jarrett, saw your stuff. Never liked any content, but just like, hey, can you do this? And can you help me with this? So now a meeting that would have took 4 months code, now I'm closing them in 3.5 weeks, because as soon as we get on the phone, she's so excited, or they're so excited to learn about me because you've seen me. It's like, you imagine speaking to the person you watch on YouTube every day, and you're on a sales conversation and they're face to face with you. It's just like that one-to-one connection that you wouldn't have had otherwise. So that has helped me sales wise, helping my confidence, helped me get better discovery questions. And we made a lot of money. So I think that was personally how it helped me. And it made me really just say, damn, if I can do this, what can I do? So that confidence is like, it went through the roof. And then just professionally, like I said, the relationships, I've had companies reach out to me, Amazon, Google, you name it, right? And I had a plethora of opportunities that I probably wouldn't have had. And I'm being myself, like with the hat, the hoodie on LinkedIn. I'm no profession, no button up. This is who I am. What you see is what you get. And I've been fortunate to have those opportunities. So aside from that, like when I first came into HootSuite, I felt like I was so well known in HootSuite when I got there it was insane. I never experienced something like that. I'm just a guy from the Bronx who does sales, and I go into Hootsuite and it's like, yo, I see your stuff and I love you. I've been following you for a year. Do you need help? Do you need this? Do you need that? Yo, let's go get a beer. Let's get this. And it was just like so amazing. So I'm so grateful for all the owls, everybody at Hootsuite. So it just made life easier. And then for my clients, if I'm teaching social media and I got the receipts to show them that I can execute what you're trying to execute on, it's a different conversation versus me just trying to sell you a product.
That's awesome. I mean, just so powerful. And the point about confidence,
Yeah,
because I think that's what prohibits a lot of people from even just getting
absolutely.
started. It's like, I'm not good enough. Who's going to want to hear what I
Yeah,
have to say? Or, as you said, I love the fact that you remained true to who you
that's
were, right? So it's not just, I'm not going to put on a suit and tie because this is LinkedIn and
it.
LinkedIn is about careers and corporate America. This is who I am. This is Jarrett. And you put that out there and people connected even with that and
That's
reached
it.
back. So now that you shared how it has done for you, I can just imagine how the companies that you've worked for they have benefited from your own personal brand. I mean, what kind of benefits have they experienced? And I mean, I can only
Yeah,
imagine at
so
this
so
point.
for the agency I was at, like I said, we did $2 million in revenue without any cold call or emails. But I think what the bigger impact was just the brand awareness that we were able to generate from the podcast and other areas, right? So the CEO, he has 50,000 followers on Twitter. He's like a SEO savant, one of the best in the game. So I give him that. Shout out to Mike. But like when it comes to the other areas, the content, other like we didn't really, nobody knew us. If you wasn't in the SEO community, you did not know us, right? And if you didn't have somebody who was really SEO, you just didn't know us. So I think what we were able to do was bridge the gap with the podcast. I think, the sentiment we've got from it, the people that came, we had the receipts, the traffic. The traffic was insane. We generated the second most amount of views and impressions, and traffic back to the website was rankable. We generated sales. So once we changed our contact us and to say how you heard about us, all of them started to be rankable. And then what happened was when somebody does that, you're getting me on the sales call. So now you're not only did you watch rankable and you're interested about a topic, and now you're getting me, and that's providing a better customer experience. And then we're getting a better sale. So we did a lot of revenue. It was a lot of great relationships built. I think we improved brand sentiment and brand awareness. I don't know if they're still doing a podcast now. I would hope so that they're still doing it. But what we were able to do there without any budget was just incredible. Like, we've had your cell phone. We had the CEO of Revolt, Rap Snacks. We had Van Jones shout us out. Like, it was crazy things that we never planned for. And it was just us doubling down on content and just being like, man, let's change the game and not play it. And then, so that really went well. And then I moved on. I just wanted a different challenge. And then now at Hootsuite, we talked about this off camera, it's very difficult. Like, I know I'm making an impact, but there's no way to make a business use case to the direct impact I'm making on the organization, right? So if I'm generating 400,000 views to a company such as Hootsuite, I don't know who's coming into the website for a demo. I don't know who's coming in, who's an existing customer that's like, man, I'm going to stay with Hootsuite longer because I think they're doing something special. And I saw some content from JT or whatever the case may be. Like, it's no way to do that, but I do know I'm making an impact. The team has been super supportive of me. Shout out to Maggie, the entire marketing team, sales. So I'm in a great space. I think we've had great impact, and I just can't wait to see what we do next. And just grateful. It's been a crazy journey.
This just sounds
Yeah.
fantastic. And I think it just speaks back to the heart of what we were
Yeah.
talking about at the top, which is the fact that people want to do business with people. And to the extent that companies are really recognizing there are so many benefits to leveraging the personal brands of their employees, not just to generate business, drive growth, but also to build the brand in channels and in ways that the official company brand could not or probably couldn't even
Yeah.
afford to do. It's just tremendous. I mean, so we've spoken about the benefits
Mhm.
then, Jared, and I think certainly there are some folks listening,
Mhm.
maybe even watching, and saying, okay, so this kind of sounds good, but there are companies that are still pretty apprehensive. I find the whole employee advocacy conversation is still in its genesis, it's still in a very junior stage. And I think that's because a lot of companies intellectually buy into it. They think there is
Yeah.
benefit, but they're very apprehensive about giving their employees that empowerment to be able to build their brands. And I find there are two different concerns that seem to be
Mhm.
most popular. One, companies believe, well, if we put our people out there, or if we're comfortable or empower them to start building their personal brands on social like that, they're going to be poached by the competition or some other company, right? So they'll lose them. That's one concern. And the other one is that they legit feel like these employees could probably, based on the type of content they post, could possibly bring the brand into disrepute if that content is not aligned with the brand values or anything like that. I mean, different concerns. Those are the two most popular ones. But what's your word of advice to companies who are still on the fence with
Yeah.
this and thinking about empowering their employees, but just still on the
Yeah,
fence, not
I
quite sure?
would I
What's your
would
word to
challenge
them?
any leadership that doesn't want their employees to become have a strong personal brand because they're ripe for the poaching, or they're mad, they're afraid that they're going to go to another company. The reason why is like that's happening now. What you shouldn't be thinking about is the employee advocacy. You should be thinking, what kind of experience are you creating for the employee to keep them there? That's what ultimately is going to keep them there, right? Like what kind of opportunities are there? Is there room for growth? Do I have the right resources to be successful? Those are bigger drivers in employees' mindset to stay at a company versus building a personal brand. And just even that mindset, like a good analogy would be, for instance, I don't want to get a pretty girlfriend because everybody else would want to take a shot at her. Right? That just sounds ridiculous. Like, so I'm not supposed to have a pretty girlfriend because other gentlemen might want to take her. That sounds ridiculous. And it's the same concept here, right? Wouldn't you want the most attractive partner? Wouldn't you want the most confident partner? You want them to be out there and to say, wow, that is me. That is somebody I'm with, right? And that confidence. So if you look at it from that lens, it kind of sounds ridiculous, right? I'm not going to get with an unattractive person. Every company wants the best talent. So if you want the best talent, make sure you have an environment for them to thrive and succeed. Because somebody like myself, I'm very driven. I'm very self-motivated. So what things are you going to put in place to keep me here and keep me happy? That's the better question. Like, so what if they create content that
Right. That's inconsistent with the brand,
yeah,
brings
so
it
it
into
goes back
disrepute.
to, do you have any compliance documents or any resources that they could refer to make sure they are on brand? Because there's a lot of companies out there that have technology to make sure that somebody doesn't say something that's not aligned with the brand. So what resources are you investing into those employees to make sure they're not being compliant? And just, but also let them be creative. I think we're all grown, we're all professionals. I have a very simple LinkedIn strategy: have fun, don't be stupid. It's very simple. You know what I mean? Like, why are we, you don't need 20 bullet points. Just have fun. Don't be stupid. Don't talk about, sensitive topics, racism, sexism, all those other things. These are topics to talk about depending on what context, but don't be stupid. This is our livelihood. You don't want to, jeopardize that. But if there's something that needs to be said, like for instance, I made a post about the Buffalo shooting that happened, right? I'm African American, who's experienced it. They look like my grandma, my auntie, my cousins. I was pissed off. So I said something on LinkedIn. That ended up being one of my biggest posts ever. And I really didn't care. It was just me just saying whatever. And I was just saying like from the heart, and ended up getting like over 150,000 views and stuff like that. So I'm like, whoa, I really wish it was something else other than this that went viral. But, it needs to be said. It has to be said, right? So, just don't be stupid, have fun. And if you're apprehensive about letting your employees be themselves, then you're boxing in their creativity. And that creativity could be something that could lead to the next big idea that changes your organization. Have an open mind, guys.
Have fun and don't be stupid. I love that one. I'm gonna use it and give you the credit. That's I love that. It's easy, right? We can always dot the I's and cross the T's. And as I always like to say, I think companies probably just need to revisit perhaps their recruiting and hiring and onboarding practices as well. I mean, what kind of people do you bring into your company? Because the reality is that if you've invested so much time and energy and effort and process to bring in people who you believe are good enough to work for you and represent you to customers every day, then these should be the same people who you can trust to be out there
That's
on
a
social,
great
huh?
point. Like, why am I, if you trust me to speak to the customers every single day, I'm only doing it at scale on social media. That's only the only difference. I'm doing it at scale. So like, come on, don't be stupid. Have fun. Trust me as an adult. Trust me as an employee, and give me the freedom to use my creativity to our advantage, right? Because right now, outbound sales, if you're in the outbound game, any AEs, without a social media presence, it's incredibly difficult. I don't care how good you write your emails. I don't care how good you do your prospecting. We know it. Like, trust me, I see it. Is not as effective as it was back in the day. You cannot hang your pipeline simply on that. You have to be where your customers are. You need to be on LinkedIn. You need to be on TikTok. You need to be on Discord. You need to be in Slack channels. You need to be on Clubhouse. anywhere where your customers are potentially are to build those relationships, that's what you need. Because when quota comes up and you're $50,000 short and you don't have anybody in your book of business or in your black book, you could be like, hey, Kerry, I hate to even ask this, but I'm kind of messed up right now. Things are going. Does this even make sense for you? And that's it. You know what I mean? Now, without that relationship, Kerry would never open your email. She's going to look at it, be unbothered. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to keep going about our day. And then somebody else is going to sell us somebody that I trust. So build the trust today, guys. You have to.
You have to. Absolutely, absolutely. This is great
Thank
stuff,
you.
Jarrett. Okay, so let's take it one step forward
Mhm.
now. So I'm a company leader and I get it. There's great benefit in enabling and empowering my employees to start building or help them to grow their personal brands on
Yeah.
social online. Based again from your vantage point as the employee, what do you believe are perhaps the top 3 or 4 things you think companies can start to do to either help their employees get started, or if they've already started, help them to grow their personal brands online on
Yeah.
social, in
I
your
think
view?
one thing they can do is create better content and get employees excited, right? So we talk about, I call B2B business boring to boring. That's like always been the running joke in the industry, right? Because we all do the same things. We do the same webinars, we do the same ebooks, we do the same infographics. We'll gate the content, we collect your information, and then you could expect a call from Jarrett in 24 to 48 hours to tell you about some stuff you have no clue about. You know what I'm saying? That's the B2B sales space right now, right? So that's just what it is. But if we were to create content, like for instance, we actually had Hootsuite was mentioned in Bel Air. So that was one of the coolest things ever, right? So I'm sitting and watching the episode. They mentioned Hootsuite. We tell the CMO, we put it in Amplify, and we posted it. It was our most shared post. Like everybody's excited. You don't have to tell somebody to post it because they're generally like, "Whoa, we were on Bel Air. This is cool. Will Smith said it." And da, da, da. They create cool content. So that could be part of it. And also incentivize a good social media program. So like, for instance, if you're going to be employee advocates, and you mentioned it earlier, we're all dealing with imposter syndrome. What do I say? Will it make sense? Will I look stupid? Will anybody care? Like, is it worth it? Right? But incentivize it, because the main thing is just to get them in the habit of doing it. And once they get in the habit of doing it, and you know it just like I know, it was that one post that took off for you that you was like, holy crap, this is it. Am I lying, Carrie? It was that one post you were like, yeah. You're like, oh yeah, I'm lit, baby. We all have it. So when you get that one, it's a wrap. They're gonna get bit by the LinkedIn bug, and they're gonna see the impressions and see that they're getting more impressions on this channel versus any other channel they're using for their personal leisure. So incentivize it. Whoever has the best post this week gets a $200 gift card to Amazon. If we are able to generate 100,000 impressions on LinkedIn this week and generate 2 meetings, we do a team outing to XYZ. It's anything like that. But at the end of the day, you would have paid for that anyway for paid ads. You would have paid for it anyway. But what you're doing is training your team on it and getting them in the habit, and they're learning skills that they could take with them anywhere. And they're also giving you better brand sentiment because they're having better interactions online, better engagement. So that's incentivize it. I think
Sure,
those are
no
the two main
problem.
things, and just empower them. Empower them to be creative. I think so many times there's so many different, hey, don't do this, don't look at this. Like, I'm so incredibly grateful that I could be on Hootsuite and I could just be this. Because you're gonna get the best me. So if I have to sit there and think about, hold up, what would finance think about if I posted this and that? It gets too confusing, and then I'm gonna end up overthinking it, and I'm never gonna press send. Empower them. Tell them it's okay. And if they mess up, cool. If somebody says something crazy, it's not going to be the end of the brand. It's not. You may have to, a little slap on the wrist or something, but it's not going to be the end of the world. So empower them, encourage them, have sales interact with marketing, have marketing interact with sales, have more people involved in things, have people get out of their comfort space. And when you do get people who are already in that realm, give them the light. You let them do it. You let them run. You let them empower others and be themselves. So that's what I've seen work well. I've seen from a lot of different influencers on LinkedIn that do the same thing. Just be yourself, guys. Don't compare. I can't compare my results to Kerry's. Kerry can't, you can't do your results to mine. All of our journeys are different. And if you just understand that and empower your employees, you're going to get it reciprocated in ways that you can't even imagine. And that's the beauty of it. And that's why they don't want to try it, because they don't know what that return is going to be like. So that's the scary part. So you got to jump off the ledge and take the risk.
Yeah. I love that. Have to jump off the
Yeah.
ledge. And I love the point that you made. I mean, all great points. I think the point about empowering them and telling them what they can do, focusing on the do's and not focusing on the don'ts.
Exactly.
I think it's great because I think it's fair that keeps a lot of folks silent on social. And I'm speaking even from personal experience. I remember when I first set up my LinkedIn account years ago, several years ago. It was years before I even did my very first post because you go on and you look and you see what other people are doing and you're like, oh my God, all these incredibly smart people, I don't
Yeah.
have anything to say. Or what I'm going to post is going to pale in
Yeah.
comparison to what these people are talking about. But if you have a situation where you're creating a culture within your organization that empowers people and engages them and helps to give them the confidence to use their voices, I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to, I always like to say, that's what internal marketing is all
Exactly.
about. And the difference between internal marketing and internal comms, it's seeing your employees like you see your customers, get them excited about the brand in a way that shifts the behavior and engages them and empowers them to become advocates of the brand. In the same way
Absolutely.
you want your customers to talk about you, your employees need to talk about you like that
Absolutely.
as well.
And cool content
Yeah.
and all those good things that align with them help them do it, right? Like that's why you get excited. The Bel Air stuff is going to get our employees excited. It's going to get our customers excited, right? All of those things matter, guys. So if you're thinking about this as a brand, all of that matters. Your brand matters, your employees matter, your customers matter. And how do you create a community or culture that everyone gets excited about it? If your employees can't get excited, your customers definitely aren't.
Exactly. Exactly. Love that. I'm to speak now to the
Mhm.
employees. Again, you're speaking from the vantage point of an employee talking to companies about the benefits and the why and how they can get their employees engaged and empowered to be able to build their brands online to the company's benefit. You, of course, would have shared your personal
Mhm.
story about how you've personally benefited. And
Mhm.
so I'm sure there are some employees as well who are saying, hey, I want my own Jarrett story. I want to be able to build my own brand and reap the benefits in the same way that you have, not just only for the company's benefit, but maybe they're a bit apprehensive or maybe even full on afraid. I mean, what's your word of advice to anybody who is an employee in a company listening and would want to think about starting or investing more in growing their own personal brand? What advice do you have
I
for
would say
them?
just shift your mindset. Have an open mind and have confidence. Know your why. Know your why is really important one, right? For me, my why was I wanted to make my life more, or at least my career, more fulfilling. I feel like if I was only having a handful of conversations a week, I felt like I was spending a lot of time sending 1,000 emails out to customers. I may get one or two responses, have those meetings, and then my likelihood of closing those was down. And it affects with your mental health. And am I doing good? Am I really good? And like I said, I was in a really weird space. And what I wanted to do was just connect with more people because I was confident if I have this conversation with Kerry, we're gonna hit it off because I know I'm a good person. You're a good person. If it doesn't, that's totally fine. But I'm willing to bet that it will go good. You know what I mean? So like, I wanted to connect with more Black professionals. I wanted to connect with professionals as a whole, and I wanted to be myself. I wanted to show professionals that you can be this and still be successful. That was one of my whys, and I wanted to challenge myself to still drive sales doing this. So that was my why. I didn't have any rhyme, any reason. I had zero plan, guys. But what I did say was, I'm not going to let anybody stop me. So that's what I say, shift your mindset, because I knew it was hard. I was doing something I'd never done before in my life. I know you'd have told me this 5 years ago. I'd have said, you're out your mind, Jarrett. You would never close $2 million on LinkedIn. Are you kidding me? Never. But it's happened, right? Because I just stayed consistent with it. I had good days. I had bad days, had in between days. I had days where I'm like, is anybody listening? I just posted something. Nobody did. You know what I mean? I had days where I can't get people to stop liking it. It just doesn't matter. Don't think about your likes, your impressions, your engagement. Think about the impact that you have on people. That's the most important thing, right? These relationships like me and Kerry, me and Ken, or anybody I interact with, that's what I care about. And who knows how that's going to impact your career 5 years from now. So say for instance, Kerry, she's going to be running the world in 5 years from now. I might be down out of luck. Guess who she's going to give a second look to? You know what I mean? Versus somebody that she doesn't know. So you don't know how it's going to reciprocate. You don't know. So just stay with it. Be consistent. Think about the end goal. This is a long-term goal, long-term plan. This is the lotto. This is investment. Think about early Google and yourself. 20 years from now, you're going to cash in. Right now, don't think about it. Just make impact and keep doing the work.
Love it, love it, love it. No, recognize your why. Why are you doing this? What's the why of your brand? And ultimately, I love that part where you talk about engaging with people and connecting with people. And it's not only about connecting because of what you can get, it's also about connecting because of what you
Hey,
can give.
that's-
Because what goes around
that was a
comes
bar right
around,
there. You
right?
got to clip. That was it. That was it right there. That was it, Kat. That was it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it
That is
is. That's
so
what it
true.
is. Because some people, unfortunately, okay, I'm going to build my personal brand because I want to make this amount of
Yeah.
money or I want to get this amount of speaking engagements. And then at the end of the day, if you're not going to be generous in how you're doing things, it's going to dry up very quickly. But if you keep giving and pouring into people, they're
That's
just
it.
going to want to pour back, or others will see it and want to pour into. It's just going to be
That's it.
fantastic.
Grateful.
Jarrett, this has been a fantastic, fantastic
Thank you.
conversation. I mean, people won't hear me laughing a lot on this because I've muted myself most of the time when you're talking because I'm like, I don't want my laughs to interrupt what you're saying. You would have seen me laugh through the
Yeah.
camera. But it's just been, I just love your spirit. I love your
Likewise.
energy. And my penultimate question to you, it is the same question I ask all my guests. You would have shared so many great things, particularly speaking to companies who are thinking about helping their employees to start and or grow their personal brands because of the awesome benefits that both the company and the employees stand to receive because of it. As a final nugget of everything you would have shared, if our listeners were to come away with even just one thing that they should remember having listened to this conversation, what's that key nugget you think they
So
should leave
I
with
would tell
today?
employees that are looking to build their personal brand to start betting on yourself, right? Make your life easier, work smarter, not harder, and think about the opportunities you'll be able to generate by simply being yourself and giving. Just give, right? You do so much in your day to day. You're getting so much information, but we hoard it. Don't hoard the information. Give it away for free, right? I heard a good line the other day, right? We all have something that somebody else is willing to pay for. So we all have content. We all have this content all around us. Bet on yourself. Create the content. Don't think about anybody else. It's you versus you. And then for employers, empower your employees, right? Because the best employees are happy ones, the ones who feel supported, the ones who feel like they can be themselves, the ones that feel like they have a safe space, the ones that are happy about where they are and excited to wake up every day because of the experience you've created. All of those things matter nowadays. And now today with this recession, economic uncertainty, employees are looking for where they can be themselves and where they can succeed. So think about how are you going to create that, and if you do get a Jarrett, if you do get a Kerry, what are you going to do to keep them and retain them?
All things to think about. Absolutely. Jarrett, this has been
Likewise.
great. I'm so very, very, very grateful and thankful that you took the time to join me
Anytime.
here and to share your awesome expertise, your experiences. And of course, my final question that I ask all my awesome guests like you, how can we, the Internal Marketing Tribe,
Yeah.
support
So
you?
if you guys can come, you guys go on LinkedIn. That's where I'm all the time. So Jarrett Thomas, Jarrett Thomas. And then also you can go to my YouTube page for the podcast. You can check out More Than a Title. We just finished season 1, end of June. We had the head of social for Spotify, Ken Gibbs. We had the CMO of Gong. We had director of Hard Rock International, CEO of HootSuite. We had some really incredible guests, and I got to get you on for season 2 too, Kerry. So we're going to do this again. So we're going to start that again. So More Than Title on YouTube, and also check out old content, Rankable, from the iPull Rank YouTube page. So I know it's a lot, but More Than a Title is my main one. Rankable was the past one, and any support is definitely, incredibly grateful.
Thank you very much, Jarrett. And the same here. I'm looking forward to your next trip to Jamaica. And it's been a great conversation. I'm going to make sure to include the links to everything you would have shared in the show notes so folks can just go there and click and connect with you and digest your awesome
Thanks so
content
much,
there
Corey.
as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Internal Marketing Podcast. I hope you got some great takeaways from this conversation. And if you haven't already subscribed to this podcast, then please join the tribe. And don't forget, feel free to share this podcast with anyone whom you believe will find it valuable as well. I'm your host, Kerry-Ann Stimson, and I look forward to your joining me next time.